pilots, flight crew members are people. People drink. The rule is, in the United States, it's 8 hours from bottle to throttle, meaning if you're going to have flight crew duties, you don't drink at least 8 hours before. Most of the airlines go beyond the Federal Aviation Administration requirements and require their flight crews not to drink for 12 hours prior to the time they're going to assume their flight crew duties. But here's the thing. In the United States, we're a little bit more tolerant with that. You can have a blood alcohol of 0.04 and still be legal. In Canada, and I think Scotland may even be less, in Canada I believe it's 0.02. It's a more stringent requirement. But look, pilots, flight crew members drink. Pilots flying long-haul routes, let's say from Toronto to Scotland, Scotland back to Toronto. They're there overnight. They're young. This flight crew was 37 and 39. Let's go out and have dinner. We'll have some drinks. It's very common. But clearly, this is a self-reporting system. A flight crew member could say, I just can't do it today. Co-pilot could look at a captain and say, look, Joe, I think you ought to sit this one out. A cabin crew member, can report it. In this case, thank God, someone in the cabin crew was responsible enough to call the authorities, and they removed this flight crew from the cockpit. But here's a very interesting statistic. I took a look at this. There are approximately 100,000 commercial flight operations worldwide per day. That's 35 million flight operations or more a year, of which 2 flight crew members are in the cockpit, meaning 70 million flight crew members conduct operations a year. In the United States, on 11,000 spot checks, less than 0.1%, or 12 or 13 pilots, were found to be inebriated and unsuited to fly. I have never seen a flight crew member on duty in my presence who was about to handle the flight controls of a commercial airliner drunk. I did, however, see on one occasion, in my experience, a DC-10 captain who was serving as an expert for me in a case against a major airline, I'm not going to say who it was, involving a fatal airplane crash. While I was taking depositions, while he was sitting next to me, I could smell the alcohol on his breath. Now, truth be told, he had no flight duties that day or the day after, and by the time he assumed his cockpit duties, he may have been well and fine. But he was inebriated very early in the morning, a time when I've never been inebriated like that so early. And it is disturbing. In the United States, I'm not sure if you have this program in Canada, we have a program called the HIMSS program. It essentially is an AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, for flight crew members. They could go into this program. It's a 1-month program. They could be rehabilitated if their offense wasn't too bad. They could be back in the cockpit in 3 months. They're under probation for 3 years. If they're second or third offenders, my prediction is they'll never sit behind the controls of a commercial airliner again. They're done. But there is some degree of tolerance and understanding. The HIMSS program, Human Intervention and Motivational Study, is a joint effort by our Federal Aviation Administration and the airline industry to provide rehabilitation services for flight crew members. Incredibly skilled professionals. Takes a long time to get into the cockpit of a commercial airliner, and it's an attempt to salvage their careers and make them functional again.